you say financial literacy is too expensive, what do you think could be the cost of financial ignorance? Let's find out. The costly impact of financial literacy, how families can actually lose on every end. I'd like to share this important story with you. It's about two siblings, but it's much more than just about these two siblings. It's also about friendship. And this story could be relevant to you even if you don't have any siblings or friends. In fact, it could also be about you. So let's share the story about Emily, who just turned 24 on 1st of September 2024. So she was so excited. Someone who just graduated from college the year before, and this is going to be her first birthday outside school. She decided that she was going to have this birthday with her close friends. So the day before, she sent a text to her best friend, Julie, and she invited Julie and her other two friends, Uche and her sister, and that four of them will be going out for a treat on Sunday after a close of work. So on Sunday at 4:30 p.m., Emily closed from work, got into her car, and in a hurry, she drove straight up to the apartments where Julie, Ada, and Uche all lived in the same unit. Upon arriving there, within a couple of minutes, they met her in the car, and off they zoomed to the downtown part of Winnipeg in Canada. From the location to downtown, where she has already booked a place for her event, is about 30 minutes drive. Eventually they got to the place, and it was a fun place. Wow, beautiful environment. They had enough to wine and dine, and then they decided to take it a notch further. They went to play some bowling, and they ended up doing some karaoke. You know what girls do when they come together, and that was it. It was getting close to about 9:30 p.m. It was time for them to retreat, and as soon as they got outside the venue, they realized it was getting freezing cold outside. They ran to the car park and got into the car, and then they drove off. But as they were on the road driving, they realized the weather has changed so fast, as it normally happens in certain part of Canada, and the visibility was so poor. As we're driving along the road, about 15 minutes into the drive, suddenly this animal, like a deer, just ran across the road and stopped because of the beaming of the light. In an attempt to avoid collision with the deer, Emily swiveled the steering, and that's how she lost control of her steering. The next thing they noticed was a boom. Car crashed into those pavement that separates both lanes. But because of the impact, the barricade could not hold the car. So he did a 360 above the barricade and did a double 360. And before you know it, slide down towards the dishes along the highways. It was an accident. God knows how long they could have been there in that cold, foggy night all by themselves with that accident, but for the intervention of the trucker. But you see, within 20 minutes, the ambulance was there, the fire service was there, and the police was there, and the paramedics. It didn't take much time. They got this kid into the ambulance and off to the hospital accident emergency unit. They drove. On getting there, they quickly get them into the intensive care units for life-saving activities. So the good thing, Emily, the driver, she sustained some not so serious injuries, but she had this palpitation because of the popping out of the airbag that saved her life. Julie, her best friend who sat at the passenger seat, had a fracture on her left leg, and also she had the palpitation because she also had that impact of the airbag popping out. The two kids at the back wearing So Lucky, Ada and Uche, they're wearing So Lucky. Within an hour of their arrival, they were dead. They didn't use the seat belts at the back seat. So they must have had some collisions while the car was tumbling. So that actually led them to their bleeding, and they couldn't sustain. You see, there's something about car seat belts. The car seat belt is a safety feature that has been incorporated into the car to protect the individuals that sit in the car, whether the front seat or the back seat. But most people never really get to need it till they really need it. And that's the same thing with the airbag that popped out. It's also a feature in the car. There's a security feature. Most people never go checking or shopping for these features in the car when they want to buy a car, knowing full well that it's there. Whenever they need it, it comes to rescue. It's so sad the siblings couldn't make it alive. So as sad as that is, the shocking news of this accident and the death of those two siblings spread so fast, like the California wildfire, and the news actually also got to the parents. You see, Ada and Uche's parents, I'll give you a little background about them. They were former traders who have retired. They were trading in the urban side of sub-Saharan Africa, in Nigeria, in Lagos actually. So as they're getting older, they retired and moved back to their village close to Asaba in Delta. While they moved from Lagos to Asaba, they decided to sell off their property in Lagos and use the proceeds to invest in their children's education abroad, hoping that upon graduation, their kids, Ada and Uche, will be able to have the opportunity to get a good job, earn good money, and be able to send them maintenance money, which they plan would be their retirement plan as they keep getting older. Now you have the background. Upon this heartbreaking news, it became very devastating for the entire family, who don't really know how to figure what to do, but then they need to get some representative from the family to attend the funeral of their children who just passed in an accident abroad. Now they need to raise funds to process the visa fees, the travel itineraries, hotel accommodation, and even the feeding for those that are nominated to travel, because they don't have any relative in Canada, Manitoba, that would represent the family when they're putting the kids to the ground. Okay, come back to Canada where this incident happened, in Manitoba. Right at the community, the news gets to reach everyone in the diaspora community that the kids do not have a life insurance plan in place. What that means is the diaspora community, the church community, as well as the Undibo, the ethnic community where they came from, they have to look for ways to raise funds for the final costs of funeral arrangements of these kids who just passed on in this auto crash. Usually it costs about $10,000 to $25,000 for final expenses for an individual corpse when they die. Now they have to set up GoFundMe and WhatsApp group to solicit donations and supports from friends and well-wishers to help facilitate the burial arrangements of these kids who just passed. The parents back in Africa couldn't raise enough funds to facilitate the traveling arrangements for their own relatives that have been nominated to come and represent the family to pay the last respects for their children that had just passed out from that fatal accident. It became another thought to the injury to that family. You can imagine how they'll be feeling at the time. But here's the kicker. What would a life insurance plan have done to this group of people who had got involved in this accident? So we're going to isolate it one after the other. Let's look at Julie, the friend to Emily, the best friend that sat at the passenger side of the car. Julie was born and raised in Canada. She's 23 years old, but lucky for her, her parents have life insurance in place on her life. She got into an accident and she has serious injuries that she's contending with. Now she's out of work. She can't go to work and she didn't die. The death benefit of her life insurance is out of it. But the good thing is there's a disability insurance in her life insurance that takes effect as soon as she got the accident. What that does is, because she's not able to go to work and not able to earn income, her disability insurance takes effect and replaces the income that she would have earned if she was able to work. So now she's going to be in the hospital. When she leaves the hospital, she's going to be at home, but she's not able to work. If she was to earn $3,000 bi-weekly, which is about $6,000 in a month, the insurance company pays that money to her, which helps her to keep up with her bills. Now she's not able to work due to her injury and emotional trauma. She still earns the same money and she can maintain her status. Okay, Emily right now, the driver of the car on whose birthday they had an accident. Emily does not have a life insurance in place, but luckily she has an auto insurance in place. Okay, friends, auto insurance is going to replace a car. If the cost of a car is $40,000, the insurance company that she has auto insurance contract with is going to either replace the car by buying a similar car for her or give her the monetary equivalent to buy the similar car. And also, because she has a comprehensive auto insurance in place, the disability aspects might settle her, but this is going to take about a period of time and some processes that could last up to 2 years or more. So that period that she's not able to work, she's expected to visit a physiotherapist and some doctors for checkups, and also she'll need to employ the services of a disability lawyer that will help put the paperwork together before the insurance company to create a need for them to want to do a settlement for a case. But in the period while she's not working and going through all this, she doesn't get to earn any income. All right, so now let's go back to the siblings. Bless their soul, Ada and Uche. They do not have a life insurance in place. So the responsibility of soliciting for funds for their final expenses, their funeral, now resides on the community. All hands is now on deck to raise money, contributions, to make sure that they're able to settle all the final expenses so they can bury them as is expected based on the tradition. Okay, the thing, if only they had a life insurance in place, what difference would it have made? First, with a life insurance in place, the insurance would have triggered the concierge services, which would take care of their final expenses. Like money they were trying to raise for the burial would have been taken care of by the concierge insurance, which would have been embedded as part of the life insurance. That would have taken the burden off the parents and the diaspora community. If they decide to raise other money by GoFundMe, that money would have now gone straight to the family of the deceased rather than to pay for their funeral expenses. Then secondly, with a life insurance in place, the death benefit of the life insurance would have been paid to their parents. Now, it doesn't matter if their parents are in Canada, in the US, in Europe, or in Africa, it doesn't matter. But because both of them, siblings, were single and not married, so the most likely their beneficiary to their insurance policy would have been their parents. Because they are young, they would have gotten insurance at a very cheap premium. So let's say they have about $1 million or $2 million death benefit on their insurance. Imagine what $1 million or $2 million would have done in the lives of their parents at the time. Yes. You agree with me that it's better to cry in a Bentley than to cry under the rain. That money being paid, the death benefit to the family, would have at least helped them to solve the problem of soliciting for funds for the nominated relatives that are supposed to come to pay their last respects. In fact, the family would have even decided to say, okay, we want a corpse and transflight it over back to Africa because they want their corpse to be buried in their own country. That would have been determined by their finances. Or better still, the parents who have gambled their retirement plan upon their children's education and the possibility that they will be able to perform well and get a good job and send them stipends for retirement income, whose hope has been dashed with a life insurance death benefits, they would have received enough money to at least take care of themselves and even plan their retirement income, wherever and whichever way they choose to do that. Now you see, that's the benefits and the consequences of financial literacy. Now you can tell the difference. You see, my friend, today this story is about two siblings, Ada and Uche, who passed on, unfortunately, from car accident. But this story can also be about you, or even someone you know. None of us can truly foresee what's coming next. While we may feel invincible in our 20s, the reality is accident happens sometimes when we least expect. And unfortunately, when tragedy strikes, it's often the loved ones left behind who bears the burden financially and emotionally. So if you're young and you're thinking, I don't need life insurance right now, remember, it's not for you and it's not about you. It's about protecting your family, your friends, and anyone who might depend on you. No one likes to think about the worst case scenario. No one. But having life insurance can make all the difference when the unthinkable does happen. Let's be smart about our future, even if we're in the prime of our lives. It's never too late to plan ahead. Don't let your loved ones face unnecessary financial hardship. Talk to an expert. Yeah. Get the right coverage and make sure you are covered, because you never know when it might be too late. Anyway, thank you for watching. If this video made you to think, don't forget to like, subscribe. I implore you to stay safe, stay smart, and take care of your future. Thanks for listening.